What are smart speakers? And more importantly, what can they do? Whether you're asking Alexa the time or Google to play the Beatles, smart speakers can be an incredibly powerful tool for people with sight loss. Sign up for our smart speakers overview now. Just send an email to training@vi.ie. That's training@vi.ie.
Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed you have. Hello everybody and welcome in to episode number 76 of Talking Technology with VI Labs. And my goodness, do we have a packed show for you coming up over the next hour or so. But hey, hope you're keeping well. Hope you avoided the worst of the storm that we had here in Ireland, if you're in Ireland. And hope that if you've lost power or anything like that, that all of that is now back in business for you. So yeah, hope you're keeping well and hope you'll be able to stick with us for the next hour or so. Because as I say, my goodness, we have a packed show today. We are going to be catching up with the team over at Slimming World to talk about their accessible book reader app. We'll be talking about that in a bit. We'll be catching up with our colleagues from Vision Sports. They'll be telling us about how technology is making a difference when it comes to accessibility and going to the gym. Which is really important, especially this time of year as we kick off, I suppose, a new year and try to get a little bit healthier. And of course, we have loads of your voice notes in as well. We've got tech news. There's so much to come. So, as always, if you would like to join the conversation, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. This isn't our podcast. This is your podcast. And hey, there are loads of ways that you can get in touch with us. So, if you would like to join the conversation, probably the handiest way to do that would be to send us a WhatsApp voice note. That way, you get to hear yourself on the podcast and we get to hear your perspectives. So, we'd love if you were to send us a WhatsApp voice note about your views, your thoughts, anything in the technology news, anything at all. You can send that to us. It's 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. Or if you would like to get in touch with us the good old-fashioned way, you can do that too by email. And the email address that you need, it's content@vi.ie. That's content@vi for Vision Ireland.ie. So no matter how you would like to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you. So WhatsApp voice notes, email, whatever takes your fancy, please do get in touch. And hey, there's been loads of people getting in touch over the last little while. And to chat about all that and more, I am joined from Kilkenny by Mr. Joe Lonigan. Joe, how are you?
Hi, David. I'm good.
Brilliant. Were you impacted much by the storm, Joe?
I wasn't too bad, David. We got away a bit lighter than other areas. We lost electricity for a few hours, but unfortunately there's some people in the country that still don't have electricity. But hopefully the emergency services are getting there and everybody will be back soon. But, we done okay, David. We had the trampoline nailed down and all the furniture put in the shed, and we done our best to protect ourselves.
Good. Joe, how does that work for you guys? We talked on the podcast last year about you guys getting solar panels on the house, and I know you got a battery as part of that. How does that work when you have a storm like that? If you lose electricity, does the battery kick in at all, or how does that work?
No, well, in winter, to be honest with you, in Ireland, we don't get enough sunlight to charge the battery fully to support you when the electricity goes off. But the people that installed the solar panels told us to actually turn off the battery and the system outside because they were expecting electricity to go off and they didn't want a surge going into it when it came back on and stuff like that. So we were advised to turn it off for a few hours, and that worked out, and I didn't notice any issue. But Yeah, solar panels are great, but in winter in Ireland, unfortunately, we don't get enough sunlight to keep us going for when these issues happen. But
Indeed.
especially when the snow was there as well, the snow was on top of the panel, so that's another bummer for solar panels. When they get covered in snow, they don't give you much energy.
That's interesting. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that, but there you go. Thanks, Joe. So, Joe, loads of people sending us in voice notes. We're starting off this week with a perspective from Alison. We were talking previously about the TikTok ban, and we were asking what social media platforms people used. Here's what Alison had to say.
Hi there, my name is Alison. I'm answering the question this week on which social media platforms do I use. I basically kind of use them all. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, X. I'm visually impaired, so I'm completely blind in my right eye. To be honest with you, I find social media difficult. A lot of the text is small. Doesn't take into consideration people that have a visual impairment at all. And it's quite difficult at times. It's 2025 and you would think that things would be more accessible for people. Not just people who are blind or visually impaired, but older people. It's not fair, to be honest with you. So I do find it difficult with social media at times. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a valid point Alison raises. Joe, how do you feel on the subject? Obviously, things like the, TikTok and stuff like that. We talked in the newsletter about that app has a lot of blind users and people are building a community over there. But social media can definitely be difficult.
Yeah, social media can be difficult at times. I use VoiceOver myself, so I don't have much issues with it as such. I suppose I can read most posts, and for ones I can't read, sometimes I can use Be My AI or Seeing AI to read some of the pictures. But for someone with low vision, there is certain things you can do on your phone to help you. I suppose you can go into accessibility and you can turn on some of the larger text sizes and put things in bold. Maybe try your phone in dark mode, that might help you. Even high contrast or inverted colours, there are other settings that you could try in the accessibility settings. And look, if you're finding things really too difficult at that stage, you could maybe turn on the Zoom function inside of accessibility as well and give that a try. Or I suppose you could even convert to VoiceOver eventually if you're finding things still too difficult. But we're here to support you anyway. If you want to contact labs@vi.ie and we can get in touch and see is there anything we can do at all.
Yeah,
there's a thing in WhatsApp, if you're a WhatsApp user, where you can go into the chat settings and increase the text size as default. They have 3 settings in it for the whole app, so that's something that's worth bearing in mind just for that particular app too.
That's right, Daniel. Some apps do have their own accessibility settings. Also, the Google app, if you go into the 3 dots in the top right, you can change font size as well. So keep that in mind and check out all the apps' individual settings as well. They will have some small accessibility fonts or settings that you can try, but they're not all guaranteed to have it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff in there, so some good advice for sure. I know some apps can definitely be a bit more challenging than others. I know a lot of people, for example, tend to bake text into photos on Snapchat and stuff like that, and that can be difficult, but there are options. Joe mentioned Zoom there as a potential one, for example. So yeah, more information on that. You can find stuff out about different social media platforms on our website. Or if you do need more support, by all means, don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks so much for that, Alison. Great perspective, and we loved hearing from you. So thank you so much. Another person who got in touch with us this week was Cian. Cian is getting all sorts of new technology, and specifically, he's got a new iPhone 16.
Hi guys, it's Cian here. Love your show as always. Happy New Year to you all. Just right after Christmas there, right for a start, I got myself a lovely new iPhone 16. And I was wondering, is there any tips you could give me using it going forward? Because I'm not sure about a lot of the features yet that I'll be able to experience, because I got rid of my iPhone 11 and upgraded to the latest model. And then just another question. The Ninja air fryer. I know one of your listeners was on sending a voice note about that last time. I have one of those, right? I have bump-ons on it, but for some strange reason, when I'm trying to set the timer, it doesn't seem to set the timer I want. Is there a specific way of doing it? So say I set it for 20 minutes, it could be set for God knows how long when I press it 20 times and then hit start. I'd have to end up timing it from my phone. Is there a way of knowing how long I can set it for? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Cian. Joe, we'll start with the air fryer, I suppose. Do you have a Ninja one?
I do. I have a Ninja. I suppose it all depends what kind of Ninja he has. If it's the same as mine, it'll be the dual zone air fryer. And when you press start and then you press air fry, and then you press on air fry and then start cooking. It usually starts at 20 minutes. That's the default 20 minutes. So I do, say for example, I'm doing sausages and it's 10 minutes. I know it takes roughly 10 minutes. I will turn on the machine, press air fry, and then I'll do the minutes downwards. So there's a down minutes button. I'll do that down for 10 minutes. So that'll take 10 minutes off the 20-minute timer. And then I'll start the machine up and it'll start air frying. The other option was, I suppose, you could have your smart speaker nearby and put the timer on while the 20-minute timer is on. And then after 10 minutes, you could just pull out the drawer. And then if that wasn't sufficient, I suppose you could take a picture of the screen with Be My AI, and that'll tell you how many minutes are left, or how many minutes you have it set for originally, or you could even call a volunteer if you really wanted to. So there's a few options there to get him out of a bit of a hole, I suppose, and maybe get him started a bit better, because as we know, it doesn't have accessibility settings built into the Ninja. You just have to kind of make it accessible your own way by using bump-ons. So hopefully that helps, Cian.
Absolutely. And on the iPhone, firstly, you're a lucky duck there, Cian, getting the new iPhone 16. Very fancy. But there are some things to be aware of with it that might be of help to you. Firstly, one of the biggest things that you'll possibly notice on the actual device itself is that there's an action button now. So you can set that to do anything that you want in particular, whether it's to turn on and off voiceover or to quickly open up a specific app like Seeing AI or Be My AI. Or there's loads of things that you can do. And of course, the camera there, slightly better as well in the newer phones. But Joe, there's other bits too, notably battery life, a big one.
Yeah, big improvement in battery life, especially from the 11. Sounded like he was really bored about the 11. He was yawning when he mentioned the word iPhone 11. So yeah, I'm glad you got a new phone, Cian. So yeah, I think you're going to feel a big benefit in speed as well on the iPhone 16, and it's ready for Apple Intelligence when it's fully released. I know they're breaking in right now, and it's in beta mode, and things are happening with Apple Intelligence. So the iPhone 16 will be ready for that. And yeah, as you said, it's the action button, and you can do little things like turn on back tap for the app switcher. You won't have any home button on the iPhone 16. I don't think there was one on the iPhone 11 either. But yeah, there's a few little accessibility settings you can turn on. You have a better screen as well, but it all depends. If you don't have any vision, the screen isn't much use to you. But I suppose if you had some vision, a larger screen as well is quite good. But yeah, they're a sturdy phone, the iPhone 16, and I advise you to get a nice case for it as well, Cian, and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Enjoy the new phone, Cian, and thanks so much, as always, for listening. Really appreciate it, and hopefully the tips with the air fryer are of benefit as well. So yeah, thank you so much for getting in touch. Another person who got in touch. It's one of our regulars. Edvard was in touch. We were telling people on the newsletter about some of the gym stuff that we had coming up on the podcast, and we were asking in our big question whether people used the gym, how people found it, and Edvard was telling us his perspective.
How are you doing, guys? Sorry about the sound of my voice. Anyways, to answer your big question, I go to the gym in Iona Center, yes, but also when I can, I do exercise at home. My own exercise equipment, well, my main one, is my Apple Watch. So when I go into the workout app, there is a variety of workouts that I have added. I have added the treadmill workout, I have added the rowing workout, I have added the skipping rope workout. So every workout that I've added, I can double tap on it and it'll make a beeping sound 3 times, and that means that I can start a workout. And also, if I set a goal, say for example, I set the skipping rope for 5 minutes, it's calling out the percentages of the completion. So when it's complete, it gives another beep and a vibration, and then voiceover says goal complete. So it's actually really it's really handy in replacement of Fitbit, because I don't know if Fitbit is actually accessible. You guys might know that. I'm actually curious myself. So if you guys actually know it, let me know. But I think the Apple Watch is the best for anyone with visual impairments.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edvard, for the message. And it sounds like you've a bit of a cold there, so hope you're feeling better soon. But Joe, the fitness workouts and in Edvard's case, using the Apple Watch or a Fitbit and devices like that, those wearable devices, is this something you're into much yourself?
Yeah, I like the Apple Watch. I know there was an article in the paper last week saying that some of these wearables are giving people anxiety because they're trying to keep up with all the different things on them. But if you like the Apple Watch, you can even start your workout by using Siri and saying something like start my indoor walk, start outdoor walk. When you've started your walk, and you can just hold down the button and say start outdoor walk or whatever, so or any of the ones that Edvard has mentioned there. To go onto the Fitbit, I suppose it's not accessible from the watch face itself. It's accessible from your Fitbit app on your iPhone or your Android phone, and you can access all areas as far as I could see, and you can also sync it with Apple Health and things like that. So the Fitbit app watches are good, but keep in mind from the face of the watch itself, it's not very accessible, especially with there's no text-to-speech on most of them as far as I can see.
Yeah, I believe you're right in that. Now, what I will say is, I'm wearing an Apple Watch right now. It's a slightly older model. It's the Series 5, but they are really good. I'm not someone who would go, for example, to the gym on a regular basis. I don't know when the last time I was in any form of a gym, probably back when I was in school. But you can use the Apple Watch to do a lot of workouts in that way. I've often done just little indoor runs or walks, just up and down the hall, and it's safer because you don't have as many obstacles or anything like that. Or if you have a treadmill at home or anything like that, that's another way to do it. But the Apple Watches can be really handy for that sort of thing. And many people, I know Edvard mentioned there going to the gym, and it is an area that a lot of people do struggle with. Someone else that got in touch with us was Fergus, and Fergus mentioned as well that he does go to the gym, but he also finds it a bit of a struggle.
Yes, I use the gym. It's not easy, but my daughter helps.
And yeah, I mean, it is one of these things where you can get assistance with these things, and that is fantastic that you had that support. But it's good as well, Joe, to be able to do these things at home, isn't it?
Well, it is. Fergus mentioned his daughter helps him, which is great if you have that assistance, of course. I as far as I know, most gyms though won't offer I suppose, an assistance service or anything like that. They'd like you to be some way independent yourself. There might be a few out there that'll offer some support. I know you can link in with some of them through advocacy if you're having issues and see is there any things they can do, especially maybe put some tactile things on machines, or maybe allow you to do some mobility training before you use the gym with your mobility trainer or a family member and stuff like that. And later on you'll be talking to Sarah about technology. But I think, look, it's very anxious. It can make people anxious, well, using the gym and not knowing where the machines are and stuff like that. And it can take from some of the experience. But there is other ways around it that we will discover in this podcast.
Absolutely. And let's dive into that now then, shall we? Thank you to all of those who sent us in WhatsApp voice notes. If you want to get in touch, 086 199 0011 is the number that you need. Thank you so much for that. But let's dive in to some of the fitness topics that we have coming up on the podcast today, because it is January, and January is often a time when lots of us want to try and get a little bit healthier. And there are loads of options that you can explore to do that and to help you do that. So we'll be talking to Sarah from Vision Sports about going to the gym in just a little bit. But first up, we caught up yesterday with Slimming World. Now, I must say I've heard of Slimming World, but I didn't know a ton about Slimming World until quite recently, actually. But Slimming World, you might be interested to know, actually have a dedicated app for their blind and partially sighted customers, which is really cool. They've really been going above and beyond to make their service a little bit more accessible. So when we found this out, I caught up yesterday with Carolyn, who is the head of nutrition, health and research at Slimming World. And she was telling me exactly what kind of services they offer for their blind and partially sighted customers. So here's what happened when I caught up with Carolyn yesterday. So joining me now on Talking Technology, I'm delighted to be joined by Carolyn Pallister from Slimming World. Carolyn, how are you?
Hi there, I'm really well, thank you.
Awesome. So Carolyn, I suppose for many of our listeners, they may know what Slimming World is, but for those who don't, what is Slimming World?
Yeah, absolutely. So Slimming World is a weight loss organisation. We've been around now for about 55 years, having been started back in 1969. We have a number of groups, groups running in the local community, running across the UK and Ireland. Our groups are all run by Slimming World consultants, so they're people who have lost weight themselves with Slimming World and then gone on to become consultants to support more people to achieve their weight loss dreams as well. The ultimate aim of Slimming World really is to support people to lose weight and sustain it. We've got an eating plan that's generous, healthy, don't need to go hungry while you're losing weight. We also encourage our members to become more active to support their overall health and to keep that weight loss off long term. And that group support really is about supporting members to make behaviour changes. The groups, they meet weekly, and it's about a chance to get together and really support each other. The other thing I'll mention as well is we do have an online programme as well, Slimming World Online, for those people that either can't attend a group or prefer not to attend an in-person service.
That's awesome. I've often heard people talking about, how many sins something is and all of these various things. That's a Slimming World initiative, I believe, isn't it?
That's part of our eating plan, yeah. So our eating plan is called Food Optimising, and it's all about encouraging people to eat plenty of healthy, everyday foods. So filling up on great things like fruits and vegetables, rice, pasta, potatoes, lean meat, fish and poultry, all of those foods that you can eat to fill you up while you're losing weight. And then we also have healthy extras as part of the plan, which encourages members to enjoy calcium-rich foods and fibre-rich foods as well. And then the third category is SINS, which stands for Synergy. And that's really about encouraging members to eat a little bit of what they fancy every day, to make sure that the plan is nice and sustainable and enjoyable still too.
That's very important. Awesome stuff. I suppose that one of the things that would be of significant interest to our listeners, Carolyn, is that you guys have some really interesting supports available for members who have visual impairments or who may be blind. Do you want to tell me about some of those initiatives that you have?
Of course, yeah. So for any members that join us who are blind or partially sighted, we have large print versions of our main books, for anyone that's helpful to. We also have audio or braille versions of the main packs as well. We also have a book reader app, which features accessible editions of our much-loved recipe books. And that's something that is free to download, and the consultant then can help members to access those books through the app. We also have audio versions of some of our other member books, and PDF versions of purchased recipe books as well, if that's helpful, allowing members to kind of resize to aid any sort of readability. So we have a number of different things available to support members.
That's awesome. And I suppose you mentioned there the book reader app, and I found this fascinating because it's a dedicated app designed for blind and partially sighted members. Mm-hmm. That's actually, that sounds like Slimming World kind of tries at least to go above and beyond in many respects. So where did this kind of aim to become more accessible come from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as an organisation, we have always wanted our groups and our service to be as accessible to as many people as possible. And really, these things have come about from our members letting us know things that would make their lives a little bit easier if we could do different things and offer them. We're always open to feedback from our members, and we'll always have a look to see what we can do to make things more accessible. So that's really what's driven it, I would say. In the past, we've met with organisations like the RNIB and asked for their advice as to what more we could do, and we've often taken their advice on board as well. So a combination of things, I would say, but really come from a passion for us to try and do as much as we can to make us as accessible as we can.
Brilliant. And has there been, so far, I know things like the book reader app and the more accessible versions of your books and stuff, that's something you've been working on for a while. Has there been much uptake, or have you noticed an impact on that?
We've certainly seen demand for those resources, and we'll be continuing to offer them as long as the demand's there, for sure. We've also been doing some work on our websites as well to make sure that they're accessible and as usable as possible. So our websites can also be used with a screen reader or screen magnifier as well, which we know can help.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Well, I suppose speaking of, the websites and all of those kind of details, if someone wants to start with Slimming World, and we'll get onto the details in a second, but if someone wants to start exploring a weight loss journey with Slimming World, what are those first steps? Where do they get started? How do they get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best place to start is probably on our website, which is slimmingworld.co.uk. On there's lots of information around what the plan involves and how to join and that kind of thing. There's also a handy place where you can pop your postcode in or your location, and it lets you know where all of your nearest groups are. So if you were interested in joining, you can find your nearest group. You also get things like the phone number of the consultant that runs your local group by using that website. So you can give them a call before you start, if that would be helpful as well, just to chat about, if you're feeling nervous about coming or you want to check anything out. The consultant is always on the end of the phone there to give reassurance and to help you coming along feel that bit easier.
Awesome. And where then can people find that information? There's the website, and are you guys on social media and stuff?
We're on social media as well, yeah. So just if you search for Slimming World on any of the main social media apps, you'll find our main page.
Brilliant stuff. Carolyn, thank you so much, and well done to you and the entire team over at Slimming World. It's great to see companies improving accessibility like this, so fair play.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the amount of work that they've put into that. It's unusual in many respects, isn't it, that you will have a company that is willing to build a dedicated app for their blind and partially sighted customers. But it is fantastic to see. And joining me now on our technology training team is Mairead O'Mahony down there in Kerry. And Mairead, you've actually had some experience with this whole setup before, and it sounds quite impressive.
Yeah, I've been with Slimming World for a while as well, and I got to, I lost almost 3 stone with it. And to be fair, I loved it as well, because it was like nothing, if you want, is out of bounds. You just have to kind of monitor everything you have, but it's not like counting calories and counting points and all that kind of thing. So like there's certain foods you can have, pretty much as you want of them within reason, like, like lean meats and fish and that kind of thing, as Carol was saying there. So like it is a good healthy overall eating plan, really. I mean, you can have your potato and veg, which you'll be having in any case, just kind of cut back on things like sauces and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty good eating plan in comparison to other, ones that are there, I think. And for me as well, like it was a huge help. Like, I mean, when I joined, I linked in with my consultant as well. In my group, I went to in-group person because I just prefer the personal rather than online, really. And I think you kind of get more motivation in a group as well if you can go, like, if you can go to the group from your other peers in the group as well. So I'm actually I've gone, like, one thing to mention as well is if you set a target, like if you set, I don't know, that you want to be whatever weight and you reach that target, once you remain 3 pounds above or below that target, you have free Slimming World membership as well then, like for the rest of your life. Like, so you can kind of go back every couple of weeks and, just make sure you're not missing out on anything. And so that's good as well to, it keeps you motivated once you're within your target. So
very good.
Like for me as well, I also found like access to the Braille recipe books and things was very beneficial as well. So any recipe book I wanted or anything, I was able to get in Braille. The member pack that everyone gets when they join, so of all the different foods you can eat and that kind of thing, and healthy extras and all that, that's all available in Braille, large print or audio. So I am actually going to go back and rejoin now again tomorrow evening myself. So I'm looking forward to using any, going forward, any recipe books that I'm looking for now, I'll, get on the book reader app, because it's nice to have them all in one app rather than loads of Braille copies around the place. And you can connect, I guess, your phone then to a Braille display if you want and physically read the recipe that way then as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a great resource, I think. And, the consultants, they'll do their best to help you out as well. And they're very obliging and things as well. So if you've any questions during the week or anything as well, they're always there at the end of the phone. So
that's fantastic setup. So overall, it's something that you've had a good experience with. You'd find it that it's something that you'd recommend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not, there's no one saying that you have to be this weight or that weight or anything. It's your own personal, whatever goal you want to set for yourself. And like, everyone has different levels of progress from week to week then as well. I mean, one week you might gain, the next week you might lose some. So, that varies from everyone. So I think it's very individualized, and it's a good way to do it, I think.
Fantastic. Well, listen, best of luck as you're getting back to it. Hope it goes well for you and you enjoy it. And thanks so much for being open and sharing your perspective on it as well. It's great to see companies making those changes, and it has a big impact, Marie, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does, yeah. And just to mention on their website as well, actually, they do also like have a, for anyone that's even thinking about maybe joining it or anything, they do also have like a free 7-day menu on the website. If you put in your email address, you'll actually get a copy of a 7-day menu that you could try. So it just kind of shows you what kind of meals are available. You're not deprived of anything.
Good.
And that's there as well. And there's a load of recipes. Once you join as well, you can access like a load of recipes on the website as well.
Fantastic stuff. Mairead, thank you so much for sharing that. Best of luck with your own journey, and thank you for being so open with it. Really appreciate it. And thanks as well to Carolyn for joining us from Slimming World. Really appreciate that. It's great to see companies putting in that effort and going the extra mile to make things more accessible. So Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Carolyn. Really, really appreciate it. And hey, if you have experience with Slimming World or any services like that, and you want to share your experience with the tech, the accessibility, anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us a voice note. The number you need, 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. And another part, of course, of staying fit and healthy is trying to do a little bit of exercise. It's something that I've wanted to do a little bit more of. Many people in that boat as well, just trying to work out just a little bit to keep yourself in shape. And what a lot of people try to do to keep themselves motivated is go to the gym. But the gym, I suppose it can be daunting at the best of times, but that's particularly the case if you have a disability. And in this case, if you're blind and visually impaired, it may be difficult to go to the gym for a variety of different reasons. So I caught up with my colleague Sarah McFadden from Vision Sports Ireland to tell me all about how technology is making a change in the gym and how accessible the gym really is. Here's what happened when I caught up with Sarah. So joining me now on Talking Technology, I am delighted to be joined from our sister organisation Vision Sports Ireland by Sarah. Sarah, how are you?
Good, thanks, David. Thanks a million for having me on.
Excellent, thank you, and thanks for joining us. So, Sarah, I suppose when we think of, going to a gym, it's January, a lot of people want to go to the gym this time of year. How accessible is that as an experience that people want to do? Are gyms, generally speaking, accessible?
Generally speaking, David, to be honest, I would love to say yes, that they're all completely accessible. Everyone can access them. The answer to that is probably not. And kind of what our role as an organisation, kind of as we grow, and also for people who want to access the gym, is actually generally the case is working with the individual facility that they would like to go to provide them with a little bit of support on what they can do to help you in that kind of area.
Okay. And I suppose what are the natural lead on then is what are the challenges that people tend to face in the gym, especially if they're visually impaired or blind? What are those kind of challenges like?
Yeah, like the challenges people face, like I have a vision impairment myself, David. So like the challenges when I would access gym or when anyone would access the gym, it doesn't always start actually once you walk in the door. Like it can be getting to the place and everything that can add into that. So like you may get the local bus and then have to get from the bus stop to the gym. And then once you get into the facility, I know something we spoke about offline, David, was about the kind of technology and the impact that that's having on accessibility. Although it's a great and it looks great, like you start off, you have digital barriers where you need to go and scan your card or your QR code on your phone. You have to get that QR code. Is the app accessible? Probably not. Maybe it is. You then have to go find where to scan that, or you have to go wait in a queue, try and get reception. Like it can be quite a big piece, and that's before like you've even got to the changing rooms. You have to then see, is the accessible changing room? A lot of places there is an accessible changing room, and the really awful thing to say is that they're probably using it as a storage facility, which is what I've come across myself in my own experience. Or I know places seem to be getting a lot better, which is really kind of encouraging to see, where you see that they really are prioritising inclusion and they're making sure that they have lifts and that they'll say that they'll meet you at the door and all of these things. So like that's before you've kind of even got in, and it's quite a scary piece, like actually going there, especially for your first time. Like there's so many people, January is the time we all want to set our goals and we all want to lose 10 stone and we all want to do all the rest that comes with that. But like it's such a big piece to actually step inside the door, and that is such a good start. So for anyone who even just goes, they sign up, they go in the first day, once you're one day down, it gets easier from there. Like that's kind of all those pieces are before you even kind of walk into the gym floor, and then you have to consider the equipment and the layout of the equipment and all of that. But like of course there's a lot that can be done, like the technology we spoke on. We'll probably go in a little bit later into a little bit more of that, but like that can have an impact on accessibility as well, and kind of what people are using tech for versus kind of the old fashioned methods that maybe we got more used to become accessible versus kind of what's impacting that.
Interesting, yeah. And I suppose, like, as technology evolves, I suppose we're seeing more and more of things like, touch screen, where traditionally something like a treadmill might have just, been fully tactile buttons. Now is that starting to change significantly?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. And in certain ways, they can be used really, really like in quite a good way, particularly, let's say, for someone with a vision impairment. I've seen it where there's equipment that you can get now that all you do. So basically, you tap your membership card off that machine and it auto sets all your weights for you. So like it remembers what you were on last week and it sets it and you can adjust it up and down.
That's
for
really
someone
cool.
That's great. Like for me personally, when I'm trying to set my weight on a machine, let's say just a loaded machine, I'm like, God, I can't actually see the number here to see which one I want to put it into the slot. So whereas when you're tapping your card and it's auto setting it, that's something that's really beneficial. But for someone maybe with very low or no vision, there's probably not an audible version of that where you may adjust it or whatever might come in. So it can be really beneficial, or then it may be something that needs a little bit of work, but there's so much space that these can be developed into something that can become really accessible.
That's interesting. And is there, I suppose, if you didn't want to deal with those risks of inaccessibility, are there dedicated gyms for people with disabilities? Is that a thing that exists in Ireland right now?
It's something that Ireland is really lacking on, personally, that I believe. We launched a project last year in collaboration with Possibility Labs, which again is a sister organisation of Vision Ireland. And that was through Sport Ireland, where we got innovation funding around making gyms accessible. And it's something that has become a continuous project for the last kind of 2 years, and we're looking to keep growing it this year as it goes on. And it was something that we kind of looked into around that area and kind of what is available and kind of what the challenges are around that, and kind of where we can support organizations to kind of make those things a little bit kind of easier, and where those challenges are and what tech solutions can come into that.
Yeah.
So we looked at different options, and one of the ones that we launched that with was a disability specific gym. And from when we opened that project to actually getting the project off the ground, it had closed down, which was really disappointing, because it was somewhere that we thought was going to be the perfect solution and everybody would be able to access this and the staff would be fantastic, and they had closed down, which was so disappointing. And I think, and I say this as I think it was an insurance piece that they were struggling with, which, like any gym facility these days, is something that's really impactful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's something that Ireland is really lacking on, because like we wanted to have all of these things to help all these kind of mainstream gyms, but sometimes it actually will take that little bit extra support where people might require that specific gym for someone with a disability. But it is somewhere that Ireland really kind of needs to step up their game a little bit.
And I suppose it's broader than vision impairment or blindness then, in some respects, because even for, like something like a dedicated gym, if the staff are trained adequately, that could really benefit quite a wide group, whether it's people with a broad range of disabilities, but also older people, I'd imagine, if you stretched that out a bit.
Absolutely. Or like you could have older people, you could have younger people with disabilities, you could have wheelchair users, you could have people with blind or vision impaired, you might have people like with the intellectual disability. Like there's such a broad range of actually having a little bit of training and a bit of knowledge and how you can support and adapt things can really make the world of difference in that case. But like there's so much that maybe gyms aren't necessarily even aware of to start with. They can say, oh, we're so accessible and we're so open because we have a lift and we have an accessible changing room, but actually it goes a lot further than that. And it's our job as an organisation to try and get that information out. And that's a project that we're currently working on at the moment as part of that innovation project funded by Sport Ireland. We're looking at putting out a suite of resources, information, videos, PDF resources that actually teach gyms how they can make their facility more accessible to someone who's blind and vision impaired. And to be honest, it's not going to be a very long document, because there's really only small changes that they need to make it accessible. Like you can add like a little bump onto a treadmill and all of a sudden you've made it accessible, because you can find the up, down and the start, the on, off button. It's something that's really simple that you wouldn't even think of. Or like the LCD screens, you can get audible versions of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like your rowing machines, you can get apps that literally speak to you like built in. So like there is things that people can do, and like there's small changes that people can make that will make it accessible. Or someone who is just vision impaired or low vision having a guiding line through your gym can make a big impact. Having a little bit of yellow tape on the edges of your gym, of your equipment, should I say, like on your treadmill or your exercise bike or whatever, that you can find the edges and it's really easy. Or having, let's say, clear print writing on the side of the dumbbells where we've done it before. We put very high tech we put a little bit of Tipp-Ex on the side of a black dumbbell because you had a black writing basically etched into a black dumbbell to tell you what weight it was. Like it just wasn't accessible. So we put a little bit of Tipp-Ex on the side, made it white, and it was really clear and easy to see. So like there's really small things.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And I suppose, we can only hope that as time progresses that the world of gyms and accessing gyms becomes more accessible. But for those who are listening to this and they say, right, maybe I'm not ready to tackle a gym just yet, but I do want to try and keep fit or lose weight or whatever the case may be, what can they do at home, Sarah?
There's a lot of options. So we have the option where it might be that you would like to purchase equipment and you would like to do like an at-home exercise piece, or then in Vision Sports specifically, we actually offer an at-home online group exercise classes throughout the week. They're completely free of charge. We run 5 weekly at the moment, and they're all at kind of different times of the day. So we would have movement, balance and stretch, yoga. We have a HIIT fitness class, so high intensity interval training. We also have nature-based mindfulness, and then at intermittent times throughout the year as well, we would offer additional classes in collaboration with the Counselling and Wellbeing Service within Vision Ireland as well as a piece. So we would offer different classes throughout the year with that. But our online exercise series is literally, it's a weekly program. You can sign up, you can come drop in and out. If it works for you on some days and doesn't on other days, that's absolutely fine. It's something that we want to offer because we're mindful you can't always get out to your local gym. It may not be on a bus route or a train route, or you may not actually be even able to get to the bus to start with. So for us, we brought this in actually during COVID when nobody could leave their house at all. So I know, David, you're well familiar and kind of nearly the positive impact that has had in technology and what has come out of that in terms of accessing things remotely and everything that's come with that and at home based stuff like that. But the home exercise series is something that's a really good option for that. And then like there's always like YouTube is a great resource as well. Like there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that's available if you wanted a specific home workout. You didn't want to do it in, let's say, our group side of things. If you want to do something at home, I know it can be difficult to find something that's really adequately audio described. That's something that and that's kind of how our home exercise series came around, was we saw that the online classes that were happening for the general population weren't really accessible because it'd be like, do what I'm doing, and you're looking on a MacBook screen that's tiny and it's sitting across the room. Like it just wasn't something that was very accessible. So the YouTube can be great, but it sometimes takes a lot of finding out what can be really actually useful to you. Like if it is audio described enough, if you find it easier enough to kind of comprehend what's happening. That's why our classes are audio described, and we work with our instructors to make sure that it is. And let's say we get feedback, like we have ongoing instructors that are working with our groups for 4 or 5 years at this point. But if someone comes back and they're like, actually, I don't think that David's class is fully audio described, I'd like a little bit more info, we're always happy, and our instructors are always happy to kind of work with us on that. And it's great because we have that kind of constant building piece.
Brilliant stuff. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with the year ahead in Vision Sports. And who knows, I'm sure you'll be back on Talking Technology with us again some stage. But for now, thank you so much.
Thanks a million, David.
Some really cool stuff there from Vision Sports. And it's great to see that, efforts are being made to make environments like the gym and the world of fitness and sport generally more accessible. So well done to Vision Sports and the team over there on that. If you do want to find out more about Vision Sports, you can visit their website, www.visionsports.ie, and there you will also be able to find out about some of the really cool events they They have Mayfest coming up this year. Zero Limits is back. There's so much to come from our colleagues over in Vision Sports. So check them out online, visionsports.ie, and they're on all the main social media platforms as well, which is really, really cool. But now on Talking Technology, a reminder that if you do want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to content@vi.ie, or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011. But now it's time for me to do something that I have not done in quite a long time. It is time for me to push a button that means it's time for an ad break on Talking Technology. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll have tech news and more quick picks after this. See you in a bit.
Talking Technology with VI Labs continues after this. Don't go anywhere.
Every day in Ireland, 18 people begin to lose their sight. This starting statistic becomes even more heartbreaking when you learn that 75% of blindness is preventable with early intervention. If you or someone you love is experiencing difficulties with their eyesight, don't wait. Call Vision Ireland today at 1800 911 250 or make a referral through our website at www.vi.ie. We're here to help because sight matters.
Did you know that your Windows computer has many really cool accessibility features built in for free? Well, it does. From on-screen adjustments to a screen reader called Narrator, the Windows Ease of Access settings provide some really powerful tools for people with sight loss. Want to learn more? Sign up for our course on Windows accessibility features now by sending an email to training@vi.ie. That's training@vi.ie.
At Vision Ireland, we're here to support people with sight loss through every stage of life. From helping children thrive in school to guiding young adults into further education and empowering career success, our tailored services make a difference. Call Vision Ireland today at 1800 911 250 or make a referral through our website at www.vi.ie to learn how we can support you or your loved one on their journey.
This ad break is over.
Thanks, Joe. Yes, indeed it is. And of course, if you want to find out more about Vision Ireland, you can find all that out on our website, vi.ie. But now back to the content where it's time for Talking Technology News.
This is Talking Technology News.
So with your latest Talking Technology News, I'm Daniel Dunn. A new, cheaper AI model from China has resulted in competition for the US-based AI companies such as OpenAI, Google and Meta. DeepSeek is a new open-source AI engine and doesn't require the same level of resources as many of its American counterparts. The DeepSeek model hasn't been tested in assistive technology contexts yet, as it's only new, but as it is cheaper for the developers, there will inevitably be some experimentation. More competition in the space can only be a good thing, as it drives prices down and over time will likely drive quality up. The American companies will now need to try and compete on either quality or price, so it's going to be an interesting few months ahead. The main DeepSeek app doesn't currently have support for visual analysis features, but perhaps we will see that come in time. How do you find the current standard of AI models and descriptions? Please let us know with a WhatsApp voice note. Non-profit organisation AHEAD have launched a new assistive technology resource called AT Hive. AT Hive allows users to browse information about various types of assistive technology available with a particular focus on students and those in employment. They have broken assistive technology down into 12 categories for easy browsing, and they have lots of really interesting resources available too. The focus on education and employment is clear, as there are lots of resources on subjects like note-taking, Microsoft Office, which will be definitely of benefit to people. Vision Ireland does of course have mountains of assistive technology content on our website too, so if you're looking for information, you have a wide variety of resources available. And finally for now, Apple needs disabled people, lots of disabled people to be precise. Apple Studios is now casting for a new movie called Radical, which tells the story of a sit-in at the San Francisco Federal Building in 1977 in a fight for accessibility. Apple needs lots of disabled people to play roles in the film, so they are looking for people who use mobility aids such as wheelchairs and crutches, people with cerebral palsy, spina bifida, muscular dystrophy or multiple sclerosis, people who are blind or have low vision, people who are deaf or hard of hearing, little people, people who are amputees or have limb differences, and people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Apple want people to audition for the roles of the 504 people with disabilities required ahead of filming, which takes place in Toronto later this year. No acting experience is required, so if you've always wanted to be a movie star, then now might be your chance. Full details can be found by searching Google for Apple Radical Movie Casting. Those who want to audition will need to record a scene for the show and submit it by the end of January. Best of luck to any budding movie stars applying. And that's it for now. I'm off to make my own movie about an amazing newsreader. It's going to be a blockbuster. Be sure to subscribe to VI Labs on YouTube for all the latest talking technology news. And who knows, maybe you'll see a fancy trailer for my new movie there, but probably not. For now though, it's back to you, David.
Thank you, Daniel. Will you be heading over to Toronto to star in Radical? What do you think of this cool movie? It sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It sounds very interesting. I've watched some of Apple's productions on their Apple Plus TV app. Found a lot of them to be quite good. Some good pieces put together there, and as mentioned, I think we mentioned it before on Talking Technology, how all their programming has audio description and it's fully accessible as well. So this is going to be interesting to see how this is put together and the story it'll get to tell. I'm sure it'll be very, very interesting.
Joe, if I bring you in here, will you be heading to Toronto to star in Radical? Do you think you'd make a good character yourself?
Well, maybe as an extra, David. I don't know. They put me up the front now or anything like that, in front of the camera. But if you want me as an extra there, they can write to my agent and see what happens.
Absolutely. Likewise. And it's great as well to see resources there from Ahead, another service in the disability space. It's great to have a variety of options out there, Daniel, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Even listening to Sarah there earlier on in her piece with you, about getting on YouTube and searching for the videos and things like that. So the more sources we have, the better, I think. People who find tips and tricks in all corners of the internet, so it's great to have it.
Absolutely. And Joe, are you excited for cheaper AI?
Of course, look, we're excited for cheaper AI and more open source AI, but some of this may be hype. We don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. But it had a big effect on stocks, tech stocks, the last day or two, and it doesn't just affect us because of AI, but people's pension funds and stuff are invested in tech stocks. So, and all these tech companies like Microsoft, Google, even Be My Eyes in our case and things like that, they've invested big money in ChatGPT and other AI services like that. So they might have overstepped the mark slightly and built a lot of different chips to take advantage of different AI models, but they may not have needed to do that if this DeepSeek AI is as, I suppose, cheap and as easy to use as they say it is. But I think only time will tell. And as I said, a lot of it is hype, and we'll see over the next months and weeks and months if it is what it says it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch for sure, but time will definitely tell. And Daniel, thank you so much for reading the news there. Really appreciate it. And a reminder to people, if they want to share news stories with us or share your perspective on the news, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp voice note, and we'd love to hear from you. But now it's time to move on quickly. We shall move swiftly along, as they say, to Quick Picks.
It's time for VI Labs Quick Picks.
And on Quick Picks this week, we are chatting all things Braille screen input. Now, you might be wondering, hey, David, we have discussed Braille screen input before, you might say. And yes, you would be right. But Mairead, we've got a tip in this week from Edvard, who is still suffering with his cold, bless him. But he was sending us in a voice note around the Braille screen input. Are you still using the Braille screen input, Mairead?
Yeah, I still do use it from time to time, all right. Yeah, that was a very good tip that Edward gave, actually. That tip also does work. But I was trying to, get the dictate option happening. And I think what was happening, maybe when you were trying it, Edward, is maybe you might have been double tapping with two fingers together rather than have one finger on one side of the screen, top edge, and the other finger on the other side on the right side of the top edge of the screen. So one at the far left and one at the far right. And if you double tap with both of those together, that will bring up the Braille screen input. But if you double tap on any area of the screen with two fingers together, that will automatically bring up the dictate function.
For sure.
So I think that's what might have been happening. But the way you have suggested, Edward, also worked with that method also worked. But I found that a bit more difficult to do, actually. I guess it's just probably because I got used to one way of doing it. So yeah, it did also work though.
Well, let's have a listen here to Edvard's voice note, and we'll dive into it in a bit more detail in just a second. Here is the really interesting perspective that Edvard sent in to us.
Also, I do have a quick tip. The new way to activate the Braille screen input. Well, one thing that is annoying is when you double tap with two fingers when you're in a text field, it activates dictation. It really annoys me. But what I found is if you find the delete button and just hold it, like hold your finger on the spot of the delete button, then while holding down this finger, have your other finger on the top edge of the screen, take off the finger slowly that has the delete button on it, and then double tap. So it basically gives like a gentle kind of double tap, so it doesn't trigger the dictation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's actually 99% that it will activate dictation if you do it that way. I found it really useful. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Edvard. Yeah, Mairead, you find the Braille screen input and doing this, it does work, and you find it of benefit, but it depends on how you do it, I guess.
It does. You really need to be at the top edge of the left and the right side. So the very top edge on the left side and the very top edge on the right side. And what I would just use is my index fingers on both hands, and I would just double tap at the very top left edge and the very far right edge at the top. Double tap with both of those fingers together, and that will automatically turn on the Braille screen input then once you're in a text area.
Very handy stuff. Mairead, Edvard, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. It's great to see Braille screen input getting the use it deserves as well. Just to
say there, sorry, David, if Edvard would like any support with the Braille screen input or has any other questions on it, feel free to send an email to labs@vi.ie, and one of the Braille team will get in touch with him and support him through it.
Absolutely. And that goes for anyone, of course. You can send an email there to labs@vi.ie. And we do have some Braille courses coming up as well. So always good to check those out. Mairead, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
But for now, that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sticking with us over the last little while. Really appreciate it. A reminder that you can subscribe to Talking Technology wherever you get your podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of these various places. You can subscribe to Talking Technology, or you can subscribe to the VI Labs YouTube channel, and we'd love to have you over there. And sometimes there are even extras, but I don't think Daniel's movie trailer will be one of them. But for now, thank you so much for listening to Talking Technology. We'll see you again really soon for another episode. But for now, thanks so much, and we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.